Ladies and gentlemen, namaste and good morning. May I request you all to begin to settle down, take your seats, and during the course of the day's formal stage proceedings, may I please request you all to place your mobile phones in silent mode. Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, while we are settling down, may I please take you through the agenda briefly for the day. We are awaiting the arrival of the Honorable Vice President of India, Shri Jagdeep Dhankarji. Once he joins us, formal proceedings from stage will begin. Welcome remarks will be rendered by DG Claus. The plenary address of the inaugural will be rendered by the Chief of the Army Staff. Post which we will witness the address by the Honorable Vice President of India. We shall then break for tea and reassemble in the Ashoka Hall, ladies and gentlemen, for the conference sessions. The conference sessions include a special address, the keynote address by Shri Vijay K. Gokhale. We have a session titled Neighborhood First, South Asia Prognosis, following which the next session is titled Indo-Pacific, the Decisive Frontier, following which the last session of the day is titled Collaborative Partnerships. Ladies and gentlemen, please settle down, take your seats, and as I said, please do place in silent your mobile phones. For those of you who have just walked in, once again, a very warm welcome. Our teams on ground are urging esteemed delegates in the pre-function areas to join us here in this main function auditorium. In a few minutes from now, I will drive a soft opening to the conference, post which we will await the arrival of the Honorable Vice President of India, Shri Jagdeep Dhankarji, and then we will formally begin the inaugural session. All of you, I request you all to please settle down and take your seats. For those of you who have just joined us, warm welcome. And one last time, may I please request you all to place your mobile phones in silent mode. In the next minute or so, I will execute a soft opening for the Chanakya Defence Dialogue, post which we will wait for the arrival of the Honourable Vice President of India, Shri Jagdeep Dhankarji. Namaha Aste, ladies and gentlemen. Good morning. On behalf of the Indian Army and the Center for Land Warfare Studies, I, Geetika Ganjudhar, welcome you all, esteemed dignitaries, distinguished guests, respected delegates, valued members of India's national press, and dear colleagues, to the first of its kind conference this side of the world, the first edition of the Chanakya Defence Dialogue. आप सबका बहुत-बहुत स्वागत है, स्वागतम. For those of you who've flown the skies from across borders to join us here for this conference, a very warm welcome to my incredible India. Ladies and gentlemen, we all know that Chanakya was an ancient Indian polymath who lived across 375 to 283 BCE. He was active as a teacher, as an author, as a strategist, an economist, a jurist, and most of all as a royal advisor. He was the one who authored the ancient Indian treatise Arthashastra, a text that came to light between the 4th century BCE and the 3rd century BCE. And it is because of the Arthashastra that Chanakya is widely accepted as the pioneer of political science and economics in the Indian subcontinent. It is from his name that, of course, this conference draws inspiration for its title, ladies and gentlemen, and it is apt that I begin this morning with the words of Chanakya. He'd once said that proximity is not just about geographical boundaries. Proximity is more about aligned nations with congruent values coming together as allies. The Chanakya Defence Dialogue aims to be a prominent platform for such aligned nations who will come together every year as an annual gesture to discuss, deliberate ideas, propositions, requests, issues, challenges that can better peace and harmony in the South Asian and Indo-Pacific region. We will come together to discuss and deliberate matters of national, regional, and global security. And we believe that these deliberations will have an impact on policy formation at both administration and government levels. This indeed is a very important dialogue, ladies and gentlemen, and over the next 2 days, I'd rather be here than be anywhere else. I'd also like to share with all of you that I am daughter of an ex-army officer. I thank the Indian Army and the Center for Land Warfare Studies for roping me in as Sutradhar for this conference. I'm so happy to be here. This is home for me. Thank you very much for having me. Ladies and gentlemen, we now await the arrival of the Honorable Vice President of India, Shri Jagdeep Dhankarji. I request you all, just a few of you still standing in the aisles, to settle down, take your seats, and one last time, place on silent your mobile phones. Thank you very much. Ladies and gentlemen, I have to request all of you who are in the upper areas of the auditorium, if you'd like to, we have many empty seats in the house, in the front. Would you all like to come forward and take your seats here? We'd like that, if you don't mind, if you all could come forward and take your seats in the seats that are vacant up front. Please. Aye, please, ladies and gentlemen. We have the Honorable Vice President of the country joining us in just about 10 minutes from now. We'd like to have a packed house for him, wouldn't we? Please join us up front and take these seats. Thank you all. Thank you very much. I welcome you, sirs, esteemed dignitaries. Thank you for joining us here. Very warm welcome to you. Thank you all, esteemed dignitaries, distinguished guests, respected delegates, members of the Indian press, and dear colleagues, thank you for joining us on time. Just a few more minutes, and the Honorable Guest of Honor for this occasion will be with us in our midst, and we will begin formal proceedings on stage. Until then, please remain seated. Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, since we all live in an era where all of us like to be updated, let me update you all that the Honorable Vice President is just about 5 minutes from the venue, from the Manekshaw Center, and he will be with us in this hall, I think, in the next 10 minutes. Thank you. For those of you who've just joined us in the main function hall, the Honorable Vice President is almost with us here at the venue. In the next 2 minutes, he should be entering the venue. For those of you who've just joined us, please do place on silent your mobile phones. I assure you this is the last time I will be making this request. And one last time, settle down for those of you still standing in the aisles. Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, the Honorable Vice President of India has arrived at the venue and will be joining us in this auditorium shortly. Ladies and gentlemen, please put your hands together in a round of applause and welcome in our midst the Honorable Vice President of India, Shri Jagdeep Dhankar ji. I request you all to remain standing. The national anthem of India, ladies and gentlemen, in its formal rendition spans 52 seconds. For 52 seconds and ever beyond, let's hold in our hearts the joy and pride of being Indian, the national anthem of India. Namah Aste. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. On behalf of the Indian Army and the Center for Land Warfare Studies, I welcome you all to the first edition of the Chanakya Defense Dialogue. Ladies and gentlemen, on this occasion, we are extremely honored to have with us the presence of the Honorable Vice President of India, Shri Jagdeep Dhankar ji. Sir, आपका बहुत-बहुत स्वागत है इस inaugural ceremony में. We are grateful, sir, for your presence. Ladies and gentlemen, the Chanakya Defense Dialogue aims to be a prominent platform where aligned nations will come together to discuss critical security issues, issues of peace and prosperity in the South Asia and the Indo-Pacific region. And we hope that these discussions will foster partnerships that will ensure harmony this side of the world. Over the next 2 days, we attempt to foster a common goal, a common vision, and a common purpose. And we believe that these deliberations will go far beyond these walls, the impact that they will have. Once again, welcome, ladies and gentlemen. May I please invite Lieutenant General P.S. Rajeshwar, PVSM, AVSM, VSM, retired Director General, Center for Land Warfare Studies, to now deliver the welcome remarks. Please, sir.
A very good morning to everyone. May I take this opportunity to warmly welcome the Honorable Vice President, Shri Jagdeep Dhankar, to the Chanakya Defense Dialogue 2023. We are indeed honored by your eminent presence, sir. I also welcome the Chief of Army Staff and Patron Clause, General Manoj Pandey, distinguished serving and veteran officers of the armed forces, the chiefs who are here, and the former chiefs, esteemed panelists and guests from India and abroad, members of the strategic community, colleagues from various institutions, friends from the media, online panelists and attendees, ladies and gentlemen. This event intends to bring out a deeper understanding of the world we live in today and what it portends for the regions, South Asia and the Indo-Pacific. Looking at the next decade, how do we view various aspects such as geopolitics, geoeconomics, and emerging technologies that affect national and regional security? The various levers of national security, such as diplomacy, information, economics, and technology, are intertwined with the military dimension. Anticipating challenges with like-minded nations and their thought leaders then reduces the possibility of likely conflicts. The dialogue intends to focus on topics of such importance that we discern challenges and opportunities which will enable us to collaborate for enduring peace and security. Chanakya's insights and prescriptions still apply in the 21st century, where the present world order, a derivative of 2 centuries of Western political thought and dominance, stands to gain from Arthashastra's strategic longevity, relevance, and application. This is in keeping with Chanakya's postulation of Yogakshema, to provide, which combines yoga or action and shema or consolidation to provide security and prosperity. This boils down to working out creative and collaborative approaches. With the global power dynamics pivoting in future towards the east, the paradigms of Kautilya in statecraft, that is, role of war in human affairs, the sublime nature of adversaries and friends, and the utility of force become germane to deliberations on geostrategy. Thus, Chanakya inspires the thought process of this defense dialogue. South Asia and the Indo-Pacific constitute a critical geostrategic space. It is home to 1/4 of the world's population, and South Asia has been a turbulent region bounded by a massif to the north and connected by international waters to the south. Whereas the Indo-Pacific region has acquired centrality in the emerging geopolitical scenario. Its importance is due to an increasing shift of the center of gravity of geopolitics and geoeconomics to this region. So for us in South Asia, these two regions are interlinked. Talking about conflicts, the world is besieged by the Russia-Ukraine war and recently the Israel-Hamas one, which have caused great devastation. Many other minor conflicts have been festering for a long time. South Asia's, where India has been managing disputed borders on land in the continental sphere, both to its west and now to its north. These challenges are bound to increase and could result in significant threats from the Indian Ocean and the maritime sphere. Let us now go over the program of the dialogue which will follow after this session. So, to the first is the keynote address by Ambassador Shri Vijay Gokhale, the Foreign Secretary. Then is the session 1, which is Neighborhood First and South Asia Prognosis. This will basically look at the South Asian dynamics and endeavor to address issues on critical challenges to peace and security in the region. The second session is on Indo-Pacific, the decisive frontier. It would address issues around a free and open Indo-Pacific, which given the rapidly evolving dynamics here could become a contested zone for rival interpretations of maritime freedom, territorial integrity, and the concept of sovereignty. The first day will conclude with session 3 for collaborative partnerships for security. This intends to look at collaborative means to address issues emerging from the first two. It will examine the dynamics of bilateral, minilateral, and multilateral engagements based on shared interests to achieve peaceful coexistence and economic prosperity, while ensuring effective mechanisms for thwarting efforts by any power to establish regional hegemony. We now go over to the session, to the day 2 of the dialogue, which primarily covers issues of national security. There is a special address by Shri Kamal Sibal, and then a keynote address on economy by Dr. Arvind Virmani. Then is session 4 as to how emerging technologies impact defense and security. We thereafter go to session 5. So the session 5 is preceded by a special address by the Defense Secretary, Shri Giridhar Araman. And thereafter is the session 5, which is on Indian defense industry as enabler for collaborative capacity building. After this is the last concluding but integrating session, which is an extract of the other 5, and that is on comprehensive deterrence, the way India would need to go. The outcome of this dialogue is thus intended to evaluate options for national security planners to strengthen comprehensive security in concert with like-minded nations. We wish to have fruitful engagements through the dialogue and hope this inaugural event serves as a harbinger of many more meaningful deliberations. Now, let us view a clip on the Chanakya Defense Dialogue 2023. Thank you and Jai Hind.
As the world continues to grapple with volatility, uncertainty, instability, and ambiguity, India remains resilient and focused towards growth and stability. Our ability to weather the storm can be attributed to the rich annals of our history. There's one name whose writings remain eternally relevant even today: Chanakya. A brilliant strategist, philosopher, and military advisor, he left an indelible mark on our nation's story. Chanakya's wisdom inspired the Indian Army and claws to come together to create a multinational platform, Chanakya Defence Dialogue. A platform that highlights India's strength and readiness. Bharat is moving towards centenary milestones. Holding the mantle of global leadership, it is ready to navigate not just regional but global security challenges. With a focus on cutting-edge technological solutions, driven by the spirit of Make in India, our defense sector has taken monumental strides in Atmanirbharta and fortifying India's position as a confident, self-reliant and determined nation. Join us in the spirit of Chanakya's legacy and wisdom as we commence the Chanakya Defence Dialogue 2023 with eminent speakers and domain experts from around the globe. Together, we strive for a safer, secure and more stable world. Chanakya Defence Dialogue 2023, collaborating for enduring peace and security.
Ladies and gentlemen, the Chanakya Defence Dialogue is the brainchild of General Manoj Pandey, PVSM, AVSM, VSM, ADC, Chief of the Army Staff. This capstone defence dialogue has been conceptualized and shaped under his able guidance. May I please request him to now render the plenary address. Please put your hands together and welcome forward General Manoj Pandey, Chief of the Army Staff.
The Honorable Vice President of India, Sri Jagdeep Dhankar, Ambassadors, Excellencies, and members of the Diplomatic Corps, the Chief of Naval Staff, Admiral Hari Kumar, Director General, Center for Land Warfare Studies, General Rajeshwar, distinguished delegates and guests from India and abroad, friends from the media, ladies and gentlemen, a very good morning to all of you. It is indeed a privilege to address the inaugural Chanakya Defence Dialogue, a flagship national security event being organized by the Indian Army and the Center for Land Warfare Studies. We are especially honored by the gracious presence of the Honorable Vice President of India, and we are grateful, sir, that you found the time to be in our midst, as also for consenting to deliver the special address. We look forward to your wisdom and insights. The unprecedented churn in global landscape that has set into motion a chain of events as well as some new trend lines. Amongst others, we need to take particular note of the growing salience of national security in the international affairs and the renewed currency of hard power. The pandemic, which began as a health crisis, ended up as a national security event. Close on the heels of the cataclysmic ism in Ukraine, we are now faced with an escalating conflict in West Asia. These instabilities and challenges are compounded by notable economic turbulence and the weaponization of multitudes of attributes and domains, from information to supply chains. Issues like radicalization, terrorism, piracy, illegal migration, refugees, and climate change add to the bouquet of global concerns. Not only is the Cold War peace dividend dwindling, the world seems to be fracturing in myriad ways. New divisions are coming to the fore between the East and the West, as also between the global North and the global South. The globalized world that we once applauded is now fraught with difficulties. It is moving towards decoupling, de-risking, and perhaps deglobalization. Technology is driving geopolitics like never before, transforming not only strategic competition but also war fighting. In fact, technology is emerging as a new strategic arena of geopolitical competition. Even as gray zone contestations in non-traditional domains seem to be expanding, so is the probability and arc of all-out conflict. Amidst such despondency, it is my belief that India remains a bright spot. The nation's resolve, resilience, and diverse capacities were put through a severe test during the pandemic. Not only did we ride the storm rather well, our outreach through Vaccine Maitri won universal acclaim. An agile, resilient, consumer-driven economy has enabled us to brave the economic downturns of the Russia-Ukraine conflict. Our pursuits as part of International Solar Alliance, Global Biofuel Alliance, Coalition for Disaster Resilient Infrastructure reflect our intent to find solutions to global problems. Today, India has a credible voice on the world stage, one that is distinct, rooted in Indian ethos, and effective in articulating the concerns of the global South. The successful conduct of the G20 meet demonstrated India's ability to bridge divides and achieve consensus on some very knotty issues. A continuous and thoughtful evaluation of defense and security landscape from both the global as well as regional perspectives is therefore imperative. We are equally curious to know as to how the think tank community looks at the complexity of the canvas and what the national security futures hold for us. Perspicacity and clarity in ideation, inclusive and informed discussions may help to find our way through the web of issues. We therefore embarked upon an idea to establish a curated event for engaging in discussions and brainstorming sessions with participants from India, the region, and the wider world. The Chanakya Defense Dialogue, structured around 6 sessions, as brought out earlier by the DG clause, intends to steer deliberations to address contemporary security issues. The envisioned outcome is to foster collaborative efforts to address global issues and pilot the course of comprehensive security within our neighborhood and in the Indo-Pacific, with the perspective of ensuring the safety of the global commons. Security discourses like this event among like-minded countries assume importance for several reasons. India shares common interest and values such as democracy, human rights, and the rule of law with our partners and like-minded countries. This alignment of shared values creates a solid foundation for cooperative security efforts. The spin-offs of these collaborative efforts are not restricted to security, but transcend into economic realm, innovation and technology, capacity building, multilateral problem solving and diplomacy as well. Our initiatives are bedrock in the Indian way. In the words of our External Affairs Minister, Dr. S. Jaishankar, and I quote from his book, The India Way, where he writes, India's history shows that it does not follow a winner-takes-all approach to contestation, nor is there a confident belief that the end justifies the means. On the contrary, Indian narrative is interlaced and with moderation and nuance that highlight the fairness of the outcomes, unquote. The essence of these words and thoughts find reflection in our engagement mechanisms with other nations. Our outlook emphasizes respect for sovereignty and territorial integrity of all nations, equality of all, peaceful resolution of disputes, avoidance of use of force, and adherence to international laws, rules, and regulations. Our commitment towards positively engaging all stakeholders has been unwavering and enduring over the years. Signatures of this can be seen in our policy initiatives and participation in various multilateral frameworks, be it the Neighborhood First, BIMSTEC, IORA, the Indian-ASEAN engagements, Indo-Pacific Oceans Initiative, SAGAR, and the Indo-Pacific Economic Framework, to name a few. In the military domain, we understand our role in the emerging multilateral architecture. We are keen to enhance the scope and scale of our joint training and exercises, interoperability, sub-regional perspectives, and sharing of best practices with our friendly foreign partner nations. To give fillip to our defense cooperation outreach, we are establishing defense wings at new locations around the world. Our national resolve to achieve self-reliance in defense hardware is being enabled by a resurgent Indian defense industry. Let me conclude by stating that the challenges we face are significant, but so are the opportunities and our collective wisdom and strength. It is through open dialogue and exchange of ideas that we will find innovative solutions to the challenges. I am sanguine that the collective insights of the participants during the dialogue over the next 2 days will help us to navigate the evolving landscape of global geopolitics towards developing a well-calibrated response. I am confident that this endeavor will guide us towards a brighter future. Peace and stability are not abstract ideals. They are the foundation upon which the dreams and aspirations of millions of people rest. At the end, I would like to express my gratitude to the Honorable Vice President, ambassadors and high commissioners who have spared their valuable time for this opening session. I am also thankful to the eminent scholars, researchers, and military professionals who are participating in the deliberations. I wish the dialogue all the success. Thank you and Jai Hind.
Thank you, sir. Your address has indeed enabled us to further understand the security paradigm across the world and the critical role that the armed forces play in it. And now, ladies and gentlemen, it is a privilege and honor to request the Honorable Vice President of India, Shri Jagdeep Dhankar ji, to kindly address this event and render the special address. Please, sir.
Good morning. My greetings to all. General Manoj Pandey, Chief of Army Staff, Admiral R. Hari Kumar, Chief of Naval Staff, Vice Chief of Air Staff, Air Marshal Amarpreet, Lieutenant General P.S. Rajeshwar, retired, Director General, Center for Land Warfare Studies, Vice Chief of Army Staff, Lieutenant General Suchindra Kumar, Ambassadors, High Commissioners, Excellencies, General V.N. Sharma, former Chief of Army Staff, Admiral S. Lamba, former Chief of Naval Staff, distinguished delegates, guests from Bharat and abroad, officers from defense services, think tanks, and the wider strategic community, members of the media, friends, ladies and gentlemen. The Chanakya Defense Dialogue, this inaugural flagship event conceived by the Indian Army, could not have come at a more critical moment in international affairs. I strongly commend this pioneering initiative of the Indian Army. This will afford a productive platform where defense strategy and collaborative partnership will converge to forge a secure, stable, and prosperous future in the vibrant landscape of South Asia and the Indo-Pacific. This innovative initiative will serve as a vital platform for the exchange of insights and discussions on critical security matters, further enhancing the nation's strategic awareness and expectedly catalyzing resolutions of complex issues. The two-day defense dialogue with 6 thought-provoking sessions would certainly traverse varied aspects of regional and global security, unfolding a roadmap to address situations. There would be focus on evolution of a strategy for security measures in the region to fortify India's position as a ready, resurgent, and relevant stakeholder among the nations of this region. When the world is somewhat on an edge, perhaps on a powder cage, with many a cliff-hanging situations, the conception of an ideation forum to dissect contemporary challenges to global security and peace is indeed thoughtful and timely. My compliments to the Indian Army, the Chief of Army Staff, and the Army leadership for orchestrating this event. Friends, this platform is eminently suited to meticulously analyze the complexities of security challenges in South Asia and the Indo-Pacific and define a way forward stance for collective security within the region. Quintessentially, India historically has been and is a land of peace, a significant global player whose most profound ambition is to structure a secure and peaceful environment in order that our people thrive, our nation prospers, and thereby the humanity gains. Vasudev Kutumbakam, a sense from our Upanishads, the concept of one earth, one family, one future, embodies both our way of life as also our global outlook. Sulh, Salamati, or Aman, reconciliation, security, and peace have for ages been central to all our endeavors. The spirit also undergirded our year-long impactful stewardship of G20, making it a historic success, converging into the consensually evolved Delhi Declaration. Friends, Raisina Dialogue, a multilateral annual conference committed to addressing the most challenging issues facing the global community, has over the years become a nerve center of focus on geopolitics, geostrategy, geotechnology, and geoeconomics, dotted with conversations in foreign policy. The Raisina Dialogue 2023 theme, I quote, provocation, uncertainty, turbulence, lighthouse in the tempest, unquote, was indeed of considerable contemporaneous relevance. Thought leaders of the world engaged in several conversations of various formats. Another potentially significant event occurred in September 2023, the Indo-Pacific Army Chiefs Conference, hosted first time by the Indian Army. It was here General Manoj Pandey reflected, I quote, the Indo-Pacific region is not merely a collection of nations, but a web of interdependencies, unquote. There was global convergence of 17 chiefs of armies and 12 heads of delegations from countries as geographically diverse as Brazil, Tonga, UK, Saudi Arabia, Thailand, Indonesia, and the USA. In this perspective, the Chanakya Defense Dialogue will for sure complete the circle by emerging as an insightful global platform that not only identifies emerging trend lines in national security, but also demonstrates the astuteness to find solutions that can right them. It is a matter of satisfaction that New Delhi is coming into its own as this global epicenter for deep, thoughtful, well-rounded, comprehensive ideation that soaks in diverse perspectives from distant corners of the world. In a sense, it signifies India's role in global affairs. Friends, the platforms that I alluded to have enabled the vocalization of viewpoints from the G7 to Global South, while providing networks and pathways to wade through some of the most vexed problems of our times, from climate change to green energy, digital divides, accelerating power transitions, economic cohesion, debt instruments, critical and emerging technologies, connectivity, and infrastructure. In the fullness of time, these forums have potential to emerge as laboratories, hubs for the exploration of a range of new ideas, projects, and global best practices in foreign, strategic, policy, and national security. Ladies and gentlemen, India is singularly gifted with civilizational ethos of thousands of years. While the world rightly acknowledges India as land of great spiritual thinkers, it has also been the Karambhumi, the place of work of some of the finest strategic minds and hard-nosed realists. Acharya Chanakya, after whom this dialogue has been christened, happened to be one of such imaginative strategic thinker and a skilled exponent of statecraft, always prescient in his observations and advice. His reflections I quote, शस्त्र नहीं उठाओगे तो अपना राष्ट्र खोदोगे और शास्त्र नहीं पढ़ोगे तो अपनी संस्कृति खोदोगे, unquote. In English, if you don't take up arms, you will lose your nation. And if you don't read the scriptures, you will lose your culture. These reflections bear huge contemporaneous relevance. In a somewhat similar vein, another brilliant Indian mind who impacted the globe, a global icon, Swami Vivekananda observed, I quote, The world was a gymnasium where nations come to make themselves strong, unquote. He had capsuled everything which was relevant. What he meant was that strength does matter. You need to be possessed with strength to be relevant and to secure a proper global order. Strength of a nation is most impactful defense and deterrent. Leveraging of nations' soft power and economic prowess have become facets of strengthening security environment. Today's India, while cherishing and practicing the principle of Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam, also subscribes to securing such noble aspirations in strength. Our Prime Minister, Narendra Modi, while reflecting, I quote him, "This is an era not of war, but of dialogue and diplomacy," unquote, defined the wholesome global order. These facets are a sense of our civilization and nectar of India's position. He echoed sentiments much beyond Bharat, home to 1/6 of humanity. Friends, emergence of Bharat as a leading global economy, coupled with its phenomenal growth, is a stabilizing factor for global peace and harmony. Peace is not an option. It is the only way. Its disruption leads to human misery and global challenges. There is need to seek peace at all costs through ideation, advocacy, outreach, persuasion, and dialogue, as also through strength, the latter one being of extreme import. In such a scenario, the wisdom of such a worldview is reinforced by the worrying turn of global events in recent times, more specifically, as was already indicated, the expanding arc of conflict and the failure of deterrence, first in Ukraine and now in West Asia. It is worrisome that globalization and economic interdependencies are failing to preclude conflicts. The skill and finesse with which nations convert economic surpluses into currencies of hard power are becoming equally salient. There is a concurrent need, therefore, to revisit the metaphysics of international system and debate as to how we could possibly strengthen deterrence and revitalize diplomacy in imaginative ways to contain and resolve conflagrations. The traditional mechanisms have nearly collapsed. They have not been able to neutralize the ill effects of these conflagrations, and therefore such kind of dialogues would go a long way. This forum initiation at this juncture, with there being cliff-hanging situations at places, is significant as it will delve into various facets of national security much beyond surface scratching and dealing with the issues that stare us as writing on the wall. Two dimensions of the domain in particular appear to be striking and need attention. The first is the enlarging ambit. We have seen it. It's enlarging day by day. And the second is the growing complexity and sophistication that is also geometric. The issues are really draconian in nature. National security today is an aggregation of myriad attributes and capacities. Unlike the past, the military is just one part of the pie. Indeed, a paradigm shift from the past. I would go to the extent of saying a massive paradigm shift where we have to bestow our total attention to find resolutions that can fit in the present environment. And what are these? Economic strength, diplomacy, an innovative military industrial ecosystem, military, I emphasize industrial ecosystem, a resilient supply chain architecture, critical materials, rare earths, scientific prowess, ideational acuity, a strong R&D base, private sector competencies in both capacity building and warfighting. These diverse pieces must all come together to create a robust power dynamic. Collaborative security and innovative partnerships seem to be the way forward, and it appears perhaps the only way forward. Emerging deep technologies like artificial intelligence, robotics, quantum, India is focusing on that. Semiconductors, India is focusing on that. Biotech, drones, and hypersonics are not only rewriting the very character of war, prowess and mastery of these domains will determine the strategic hubs and of nodes of the future. Unlike the past, calibration of your power is dependent much beyond what used to be earlier. To meet such challenges, we have to have capacities in space, cyber, and the electromagnetic spectrum. These are complementing the traditional domains of land, sea, and air like never before. A totally new area. There will have to be mindset change. There will have to be micro-analysis. And there will thereafter have to be convergence of varied points of view to look for a resolution. To meet such challenges, along with the structural corrections, we need a series of cultural transitions. New talent pipelines and civil-military fusion seem to be the new mantras. There would inevitably be focus over some of these issues and flesh out their final nuances. I have no doubt, I have hope, optimism, and confidence that this dialogue will do great justice to the person on whose name it has been christened. The deliberations will rise to the level of Chanakya's philosophy, his strategy, his craft. The Chanakya defense dialogue may well be a good place to begin, and I am sure a worthy place to begin, an appropriate forum that will catalyze human minds to think of strategies for larger global welfare. That Chanakya defense dialogue is planned to be a regular event staged by Indian Army in the years ahead is a wholesome development. I congratulate Chief of Army Staff and his team for having so visualized and at a very, very appropriate time. Friends, and it has been said over ages, remember, peace is well secured from a position of strength. That is something what even Vivekananda reflected. That is the essence of what Chanakya has all throughout stated. To be prepared for war is a passage to peace. Emergence of Bharat as an economic power and its enhanced soft diplomacy. And I can assure you, friends, the soft diplomatic power of Bharat has been so enhanced in recent times that it has become a real factor in stability of the globe, which you all must have noticed, and I am sure in one of your sessions you will have the occasion to bestow attention on that. But all these rise of Bharat, phenomenal growth, technological penetration, world-level achievements, economic development of a time which was beyond dream and contemplation few decades ago. Certainly not when I was in Parliament in 1989 and a minister. When I compared those two scenarios, I know my capacity to dream was not to that extent as to dream what I see as a ground realization. This will be helping the country at large. It will augur well for peace and stability in the region. Friends, I am grateful to the organizers for affording me an opportunity to share some of the thoughts with the people who are here. Each one of you is an epicenter, nerve center of a thought process that can contribute massively for larger welfare of the world, to find solutions to the conflagrations that are afflicting human society and for which right now most of us find in perception there is dead end. We have to find some light at end of the tunnel right now for two issues on which there had been reflections. The tunnel seems to be endless. It is only such kind of platforms where there will be brainstorming, exchange of ideas. You will bring on the table various technologies, thought processes, and that will lead, hopefully, for a solution so that this planet we can gift to our future generations as trustees in some shape. I have every hope, I entertain full confidence that deliberations will not only be productive and fruitful, they will be result-oriented. They will be of a nature to enrich those who are in driver's seat, those who formulate policies, and generate awareness, the urgent need to tackle the problem. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you. Jai Hind.
Thank you, sir. Every word of your address has enriched us. As the Honorable Vice President said, that this forum will aim to catalyze human minds to work collectively towards global human welfare. May I now please request Chief of the Army Staff to kindly present a memento to the Honorable Vice President of India. Please, sir. एक बार फिर से आपका बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद कि आप समय निकाल आज यहाँ उपस्थित हुए. We are grateful for your esteemed presence, sir. And now, ladies and gentlemen, may I request you all to please rise for the national anthem of India. And this, ladies and gentlemen, was the inaugural ceremony of the Chanakya Defense Dialogue. Once again, aapka bahut bahut dhanyawad, sir, for joining us here on this occasion. And thank you all, ladies and gentlemen, for being a part of this audience. May I request you all to remain where you are while the esteemed dignitary makes his way out of this auditorium. Please settle down, ladies and gentlemen, for just a minute. Take your seats and remain where you are. Thank you. Once the Honorable Vice President has made his way out of the venue, I request you all to join us for a beverage break. Some hot tea and coffee await you. It is a 10-minute beverage break, ladies and gentlemen, post which we hope to see you in your seats in the Ashoka Hall for the conference sessions. Thank you very much.